Hey guys, welcome to another edition of the CBS Free Skills Acquisition Program. My name is Khadijat and I'm going to be taking us on some Nigerian delicacies for today. For the first meal, we are going to have a furry roll and white rice. You know as well, you can always eat a furry roll with any other thing you want, but for today's purpose, we are going to be using white rice with it. We're also going to have okra soup, which Yoruba calls ila alasepo, with amala, and we're also going to have eba too, the yellow eba for my African men that always like eating gari. You also have that with okra soup or ewedu soup, whichever one we prefer. So let's move together as we go to the kitchen to start making this food. Thank you. So our first delicacy for today is gonna be the efori roll, the vegetable soup as we know it, and here are the ingredients we are going to use for it. So the first, we have the onion. We all know what we use the onion for, but for this purpose it's going to give it a kind of scent, that lovely scent that we love in our African dishes. Then also we have the stock fish. Some people call it okporoko, some people call it panla. This one is going to be soaked in hot water for it to get soft, for us to use it to make what we want to do. Also, we have the smoked catfish. This one is also going to give some taste to the food. We also have the ejakika, the round fish as we all know it. We have our local beans, that is the iru. We have our palm oil. We have the salt for taste. You have the seasoning cubes. You have the crayfish, because seriously, what is a vegetable soup without crayfish? You also have the pomo. The number one accessory for any Nigerian meal is the pomo, so it just has to be there. Then we have the pepper mix, and of course we have the vegetable. For this purpose, we are going to be using a shoko, and that is what we have here. And we are also going to be adding a bit of utazi. For some other people, you can use bitter leaf, you can use efirin, you can use whatever leaves you like. But for this purpose, we are going to be using utazi because of the sweet, bitter taste it gives and the aroma. So now let's move to cooking proper. Okay, so we have to make sure our stock fish is actually very soft, because it's not going to make sense if you're trying to eat and you have bones and all of these things entering into your teeth. So we just need to make sure that our things are actually soft and well cooked. That's how we're going to make this thing, and we're going to enjoy making it. So once the pot is on fire, all you just need to do is add your palm oil, the size you want to use. You might as well want your vegetable to be very oily, while some other people might want theirs not to be so much oily. So once you add your palm oil, just wait a little bit, just give it like 15 seconds for it to come together before adding other ingredients. So the next ingredients we are going to add now is our washed and diced onions. You can see the palm oil, that it's clearer than when I added it in it. So basically, this is how it's gonna look like. So you add your onions to it. Just put as much onions as you want. I'm a very, very big fan of onions, so that is why you have me putting this much in it. While you stir fry the onions, you can also rinse your crayfish. Make sure it's properly rinsed before adding it to the onions and the oil on fire. So this way, you add your crayfish to this blend. You know, when you fry crayfish, there's a kind of blend, there's a kind of taste it gives to the meal. So you just need to make sure you get this particular part of it. You need to make sure you get it right. Please note, do not allow this thing to get burnt. Stir it while this is going on. Then you also pick your locust beans, your iru as we all know it to be. You have to make sure that you rinse it very well. just because of unwanted sand, salt, and some other particles. Also, depending on how much of it you like, you can just put it according to what you want. So for this purpose, I'm just going to be adding a bit. I wish you could perceive the smell of this thing. Good. It's heavenly. So we stir. We stir. Now we're going to add our pepper mix to this. For this particular pepper mix, we have more of rodo and bawa, more than the tomatoes, and we also have onions in it because it gives it a kind of radiant smell that we all love. So we're going to add that to the mix. And stir. Wow. 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 This looks really delicious already. Then you stir it. Make sure you stir it properly. Then you need to give it a little time to simmer. So you can just give it like a minute before adding any other ingredients. So I'm going to cover the pot. Wow. Even without the seasoning, the amazing smell this is bringing out. Oh god. So now I'm going to add the stockfish and the smoked catfish. As you can see, it's been washed, chopped for this purpose. Based on how it was before and now, the difference is actually very clear. So firstly, I'm going to be adding the stockfish, and I would also be adding the smoked catfish. You know, I mentioned it earlier that where we are going to today, we are doing F4, elemi meje. So just be counting, be counting it in your mind. So as it is like this, I'm not really a fan of seasoning cubes, so I just try to put as little as possible in the whatever I'm cooking. But for your own taste buds, you can do whatever you like. But for this purpose, I'm just going to be using just 2 cubes of seasoning. That's okay. Then I'll be adding a little bit salt for taste. You see, this thing is actually very essential for you to have parboiled all your stuffs. If you've done that, it's going to make the cooking very, very, very easy. It's going to make it very smooth. Much more different than anything you've been used to. You get? So, oh God, I wish you guys could please just go into this place. Just see! I'm actually very excited. Don't mind me. Don't mind me. So I'm also going to add my pomo. I would also add my pomo. See, it's been washed, properly cleaned. It's also been parboiled before. So now, if you look at it, you find out that you would even see little traces of seasonings on it. So I've seasoned this thing to what I want. So it's also going in. And you're gonna stir everything together. At this point, if you have they call it omiero or whatever. If you have that, you can add a little bit to it. But if you don't have, you can also use ordinary water. But because what I want this vegetable soup, I want it to be actually thick. I don't want it watery. I don't want any form of water in it. So I'm going to let the water from these fishes, the pomo and the pepper itself, I'm going to let it simmer out for it to boil. So now I'm going to cover this pot and leave it to boil for the next 15 minutes. So after 15 minutes, I'm going to come back and we're going to see the magic that has happened there. So after 15 minutes, You can see the look of our soup. Everything has simmered properly. It actually looks so yummy. The blend you get. So now we are going to add our vegetable to it. Like my vegetable now, it has been washed. I soaked it in a bit of hot water just to remove the sand and the dirt that are gonna be in it. And now I've rinsed it, so I'm going to add it to the stock on fire. So it's going to be much more better if you add it in chunks, that's in little bits. So you stir. You stir. The reason I'm not adding more water to this is because you know vegetable itself is going to bring up some water once it's heated. So I really don't want this my vegetable soup to be watery. So that's why I'm not adding more water to it. So I'm going to add the rest. Of my shoko to it. So this kind of vegetable now, it's so obvious. You know you can use it to eat anything, ranging from eba. You can even use it for rice. You can use it for boiled plantain. Anything you want to eat. You can use it for amala. You can use it for semo, pounded yam, anything at all. So this is how our vegetable soup looks like. So like I said earlier, can we remember this chopped utazi leaf that I mentioned earlier? You know, it has a kind of bittersweet taste it gives to food. So I'm going to be adding this to it just to make it more nutritious. Yes. Then I'll stir it together properly. So if you don't want to use utazi too, you can also use bitter leaf. You can use efirin. You can use anything that you so desire, but just make sure that you get this consistency, because that's what is going to give you the look that you want, the kind of taste you want and everything. So now I'm just going to taste this thing. Oh wow. I'm going to be tasting for salt. So if the salt is not enough, I'll be able to add a little bit more, just based on your taste buds. And if you want less salt too, this is fine for you. This is so yummy. But I'm going to add a bit of salt before I cover it up.
Rolling and action.
So after adding a bit of salt, all I did was just to cover it back to let it simmer. And as we can see, our vegetable soup is ready. Can you see the look? It looks so yummy. So basically, this is just how you make your Nigerian vegetable soup. So meet us on the dining where we are going to be presenting this. Thank you. Alright guys, so now we are going to be making our seafood okra soup, and basically these are the ingredients we are going to be using. So here we have our tilapia fish. If you look at it very well, you see that it's been properly washed. It's been cleaned, like there is no dirt on it. Then also we have our shrimps. Then we also have our crabs. You also see that it's been parboiled with some ingredients. We also have our utazi leaf. We have our crayfish, and we have our okra. The okra, you find out that some parts are chopped while some are blended. Yes, it's just so that you can see the sliminess of the okra soup. You know, we always want our okra soup to be slimy, so for that purpose. Now we're also going to have our locust beans, that's the iru. We have our palm oil, we have the salt, we also have the maggi, that's the seasoning, and you're also going to have the pepper. So basically, those are the ingredients we are going to use to make our okra soup. So to make the okra soup, you're going to add a bit of palm oil into a preheated pot. So you allow the oil heat up a bit. After it heats up a bit, you add your pepper mix. Don't forget, we are making ilala sepo. You add your pepper mix. Stir it together. Yeah, my pepper mix consists of just a bit of tomato. So after adding the pepper to the oil, you find out that it has boiled for a while, so you need to add a little bit of water to it. So you add the water, you add your seasoning cubes too, as always. Then you add your salt to taste. The reason why you just make this like a normal stew first, even though you want to make okra soup, is because of your ingredients. You know, for instance, now we are going to be using tilapia fish. So now you need to boil your fish in this sauce. Make sure it's done and pack it out before you add your okra soup to it. So while we wait for the soup to simmer, let's cover it for some minutes, like 2-3 minutes for it to simmer. So it has boiled for a while. I said about 3 to 4 minutes earlier. You can see the consistency. So all we're just going to do now is to add the fish to it so it can get done. I'm using tilapia fish, but as you know, you can use any fish of your choice, just depending on what you want. You can use anything. So after adding the fish, all I just have to do is to close it, cover the pot, and leave it for about 5 to 10 minutes before turning the fish to the other side. Whew. Guys, our fish is ready. So the reason I'm going to be bringing out the fish from the sauce is because you wouldn't want to pour your okra and have everything being mashed up together. When I want to eat my okra soup, I still want to be able to pick out my fish and say this is my fish. So I'm going to be removing the fish from this sauce. Ooh, the look. Ooh. So you really need to be careful when you are making this fish, because you find out that if you leave it for too long in the pot, it's going to stick to the pot. It will start burning. So you need to make sure that you time this. It shouldn't exceed 10 minutes in the pot. So that's what I'm going to be adding my crabs to the sauce. I already mentioned earlier that we are making seafood okra today. So with my crabs in, I'm going to rinse my crayfish and add it to what we have on ground. My crayfish is going in. So I'm going to be adding my locust business. That's the iru, as it is popularly called. Do not forget, always make sure your iru is rinsed so that you can wash away the sands and the dirt that might be in it. Then I will add it to the mixture. At this moment now, I want it to boil for a while, because I wouldn't like to add my okra into a mixture that is not properly done. But you need to monitor this closely, because it mustn't burn. Once the sauce gets burnt and you add your okra, it's going to make the okra tasteless. So you just need to monitor it closely while it boils. Afterwards, I'm going to be adding my shrimps. It has been cleaned and parboiled with seasoning, as you can see. So I'm going to be adding it to the mixture. Then stir together. At this moment, you can add a bit of water to enable it simmer properly. So I'm going to be adding water to the mixture on fire now. After adding water to the mixture on fire, I'm going to close the pot and let it simmer for 5 minutes. Because of the crabs, I need them to be properly softened, and I want the seasoning to penetrate into the crabs very well. Ooh. Ooh. This looks really interesting. So what we are going to do now is to add our okra, both the chopped and the other one, and the grated one. You need to take note that once you add your okra, for no reason should you reduce the flame, reduce the heat. If not, it will reduce the sliminess of the okra. So you need to cook it well, fast, and on high flame. So remove. Apparently now for me this consistency is too thick, so I'm going to add a bit of water to it, because I'm still going to add my fish. Yes. Without adding the fish, you can even see it. You can see it. So you let it boil. While it boils, we can add our vegetable to it. Remember, your vegetable has to be properly cleaned. Based on your preference, you can add as much vegetable as you want. Now I'm going to add my fish to this. Add the sauce. Then you can leave this for a while it boils. Make sure that as you are stirring, you do not mash up the fishes. It's time to taste this delicacy. I need to wash my hands though. I'm coming. You wouldn't have expected anything less than this. So basically, this is just how you make your okra soup, your ila alasikpo to be precise. So you have everything in it in total. So like this, you can just take it with any swallow of your choice, eba, amala, whatever you prefer. You can make it that way and it can happen. Thank you. See you at the dining. So we're going to be making our ewedu soup now. So in the pot of boiling hot water, all you need to do is add your potage, that's the corn, add a bit, then wash your ewedu leaves properly. For some people, they prefer blending. Yeah, it also makes it very smooth, but the truth is it doesn't taste as sweet as it does when you use the normal ijabe to do it, you get. So we are going to add the ewedu leaves to the water. Then we leave it to boil for a while. You leave it to boil. After boiling, some people also like to add egusi to their ewedu. It actually makes it look really nice. Some other people use egg. I don't really understand how that works, but that's what they prefer to use. But for this purpose, we are just going to be cooking plain normal ewedu. We are not even using egusi or egg or anything. It's just the ewedu and iru and every other thing. So now the ewedu has boiled properly. It's already cooked. So now what we just have to do is to mash it. Afeja ewedu lọ́rọ̀ kan. So ìjábẹ̀ la máa lò la máa fi ń já ewedu. This is how it is. So all you just need to do is make sure you hold the pot tightly and you mash.
Induction.
So after mashing the ewedu leaves, this is the end product. All you need to do is just add your locust beans, a little bit of salt for taste, and you add your seasoning if you want it. So this is how it's gonna look like. You can see our ewedu waiting for amala on the way. So let's meet at the dining once again.
Induction.
So we are going to be making our normal soup now. In Yoruba we call it obiata. So now once you put your pot on fire, all you need to do is just add your vegetable oil to it, and when it's a bit hot, you add your onion. You have to have washed it and it's already sliced, then you add it to it. After adding your onions, then you put your pepper mix. You pour it into the mixture. See that? So once you add your pepper mix into the mixture, I'm a very big fan of garlic and ginger. It has this special flavor it gives your soups. So I would put a bit of garlic, in it, and I would also add ginger. Just a bit, not too much. And as we all know, these things are also antioxidants. They would help a lot. So you add it. Then you also add your salt for taste. You can just add a little, then you can taste it subsequently. If it's fine, if it's not fine, you add more. Then you also add your Maggi, depending on the seasoning you are using. Once that is done, all you need to do is stir it together. After stirring, then you cover it and leave it to simmer for a bit. Okay, so it's 15 minutes after. You can see the stew is properly cooked. So now we are going to add our meat, our pomo, everything you want to add in it. And note that this meat has been washed, cooked before now, because you are not expected to just pour raw meat into your pepper mix. So now I'm going to add a little water to it because the thickness is on the high side. Then leave it to boil for another 5 to 10 minutes.
Then action.
So when you want to make your yam flour, that is amala, with your pot of boiling water, the yam flour, you have to make sure that you have sieved it and remove any shafts from it. And that's exactly what we've done to this one you're looking at in the bowl. So all you need to do is take a large sum of it, just this way. Then you're also going to be making use of your turning stick, that's omorogun. You pour and stir simultaneously to avoid it having what we call lumps. You add more till it's thick enough. the consistency. If you find out that you have too much of it in it, just as we have here, you shouldn't bother. It's not something you need to worry about. You just need to make sure you turn it well, just like I'm doing. You make sure it is properly turned, just like this. You know, your amala normal is meant to be light. It's a very light meal, so you can add a bit of hot water if you find out it's this way. It's really thick. You add a bit of water, then leave it to boil. You don't have to cover it and leave the pot or anything. You can just stay there while still turning. Everything is going to form together, just like this. So you just need to mash it in. Let the water boil properly. So while the water enters into the mixture, you're going to find out it's going to make the yam flour lighter, exactly what you wanted to make in the first place. And if when the first time you added your yam flour to it, the hot water, you observe that it's better, it's already light, then you don't need to add more water this way. The reason why we had to add much more water is because the yam flour in it was really much, which is actually good for this practical, because it might happen to you one of these days, so you know how you would take care of the situation. Just like it is now. But if you also find out that it's on an high place, like the gas cooker is as high as this, and you can't turn it well, all you have to do is bring it down, sit on a stool or akpoti, anyone you call it, then hold this pot between your legs and turn it properly.